mattered, that watching my daughter be ashamed of me because I didn't have enough money mattered. She said I was being vindictive. I hung up. Elliot stopped by Thursday with pizza saying Zoe was genuinely struggling. She'd cried after our last call and admitted she'd been shallow. He wasn't making excuses, just wanted me to know she was starting to understand. Sunday, I spent 3 hours writing an email to Zoe, laying it out plain. She needed to tell me exactly what she'd done during those 4 years, not general apologies but specific things. She needed to understand why treating me that way was wrong regardless of money, and show me through actions she valued me. Her response started with apologies, but turned into reasons. Nadine influenced her. She was young, didn't understand. The last part said she shouldn't have to prove herself to her own father. She wasn't ready for real responsibility. I didn't respond. Wednesday, I had dinner with Natalia at a steakhouse. We'd met at a contract meeting 2 months back. She managed projects for the county, had a direct way of talking with no hidden angles. She knew about my situation with Zoe, but liked me for who I was. Ordering a good steak without checking prices felt different. Not showing off, just not worrying. I realized I was happy in a way that had nothing to do with proving anything. Friday night, I reconnected with Rodney, who'd worked equipment at the paving company when I was barely scraping by. He brought up lending him $200 when his kid needed medicine, even though I didn't have it to spare. Said money didn't make me a better person because I was already solid. Hearing that from someone who knew me during my worst years hit different than expected. Elliot told me Zoe had to drop her sorority because Nadine and Cliff couldn't afford the dues. She was devastated about losing her social status. Part of me felt vindicated. She was learning what it felt like to be judged for not having enough. But mostly I felt sad it took this for her to understand what she'd put me through. I didn't reach out because this was a lesson she needed without me rescuing her. 3 months went by. I kept working, seeing Natalia, having dinner with Elliot and his wife, fishing on weekends. Then a real letter showed up from Zoe. 4 handwritten pages about specific things she'd said and done. How cruel it was to call my apartment depressing. How wrong it was to say my gifts were embarrassing. She wrote about losing the sorority and realizing what it felt like to be valued only for money. The letter felt raw instead of calculated, like she'd actually spent time thinking instead of reacting. We met at a diner halfway between our places. She showed up on time in jeans and a sweatshirt. We talked for 2 hours, and she was more genuine than I'd seen her in years, admitting she'd been a spoiled brat who bought into Nadine's worldview without questioning it. I acknowledged her growth and said we could try rebuilding if she was serious. 2 days later, Nadine showed up uninvited, demanding to know why I was poisoning Zoe against her. Apparently, Zoe told her she was wrong to judge me for being broke. I told Nadine she wasn't welcome, and if she kept interfering, I'd stop trying with Zoe. She left without another word. I told Zoe our relationship needed boundaries and had to be gradual, built on actions over time. She said she understood trust takes time. We agreed to meet monthly. At our next lunch, she told me she got a part-time job at the campus bookstore, said she needed to learn to support herself instead of depending on other people's money. She started texting about random things, class, books she was reading. She remembered to ask about my work. She admitted she still fell into old patterns sometimes.